Sie hören Sport und Musik.
Das Spiel ist aus! Deutschland ist Weltmeister!
In a world where fans fight over whether to call it football, or soccer, two German men defy the odds and call it Fußball. Bringing you inside the German-American football experience. And now, here are your hosts, the Schnitzel Boys.
Yes, here we are, your hosts.
Your hosts.
Schnitzel Boys.
Schnitzel Night
Host to the host.
That's right. Open wide for some soccer.
Cheers.
Cheers. Hans Wolf's at the movies. Watch the new Mission Impossible movie. Wow.
What? Hans
That's
Wolf
what
is
it
not
says.
part of Barbenheimer weekend.
Is that doing the Barbenheimer thing?
It's not part of the.
Someone tweeted out today a photo of Quentin Tarantino watching watching Oppenheimer and then crossing the street and buying a ticket to watch Barbie. He literally did the Barbenheimer thing.
Barbenheimer. The Barbenheimer experience. I haven't seen either of them.
Me neither.
I'm interested in both of them, sort of.
Yeah, I'll watch them. I love the movies. I haven't gone to the movies in a while. I don't know. I don't know. Also, I could talk forever about the movies. They're not super creative.
I went to see Asteroid City with my daughter, the latest Wes Anderson creation, which was
I hear that's terrible, right?
Terrible.
Okay, tell me. Sorry. I've heard things. You tell me.
I mean, it's a Wes Anderson movie. You kind of know what to expect. It's what? You're not a fan?
No, I turned off the French Dispatch after like 5 minutes because I'm like, this is gonna be more of this crap. I turned it right off.
Then if that's not your thing, then you should not see Asteroid City either. It's it's that kind of thing. This highly sort of aestheticized kind of dry humor, famous actors doing deadpan comedy. That's it. Yeah, it's very pretty.
He's a joke.
The set is beautiful. But if you don't like his movies, this one's not going to change your mind.
I love his movies. The Royal Tenenbaum and Rushmore are two of my favorite movies, especially the Royal Tenenbaum. However, my criticism is he's just become a joke in and of itself. Like Royal Tenenbaum is a masterpiece. I think that movie is amazing. But now all he's doing, and it's gotten worse and worse and worse. He's just like copy and pasting his aesthetic, and he's become a joke in and of itself. And it's like, just make movies, man.
I think. Well, I don't know. I think some are better than others. I really liked Moonrise Kingdom, the Darjeeling movie. I hated. I thought the French Dispatch was kind of. I didn't care that much for either. Although I did watch the whole thing. I thought this was. It was funny. It's funny. I mean, I don't know, but I don't get. I mean, I think you're not alone in that opinion. But I have a pretty high. I think overall, I still find his stuff more appealing than others. So I'm on board. I don't know if you liked. Well, I don't know. Now I'd be interested in what your opinion.
I'll watch it. The last movie I saw in the movies was Indiana Jones, but I really, really had to go to the bathroom, so I walked out on the ending climax of the movie.
How was that? I heard some people said that was good.
I missed the climax, but then I went home and I watched it on YouTube because the ending of the movie is on YouTube. But I'll tell you, I was not a fan.
Okay.
I love Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I get the criticism; it was a little too outlandish. This movie is the most outlandish of the five, and it's like in the original three movies, they hinted at something a little cray-cray, and at the end, something a little cray-cray did happen, right? In the first one, it was like shield your eyes if you open that box and burn your face. That was pretty big. In the second one, it was this guy who could rip hearts out of your chest. That was pretty outlandish. but he drank a certain blood, and then it turns out it was a trance. And the third one, they found a cave with a man who apparently was like a ghost or 1,000,000 years old, right? So those are outlandish. I'm not saying that's not outlandish. However, it's like you could excuse all three of those things. It's like maybe, I don't know, maybe just an apparition, maybe I don't know. But then in King of the Crystal Skull, a bunch of aliens or interdimensional beings show up at the end in like a spaceship and stuff. That's a little bit like, I don't know, it's not really the same spirit. And this one also kind of ruined the spirit. It's like, I'm not going to spoil it, but like they allude to something pretty outlandish about it. And then it happens, really happens. It's almost just like, what? What the heck is this all about? Another sky hole? If we're crying out loud, can we have a movie without a sky hole once in a while? You know what a sky hole is?
They seem to be going around.
Sky holes are popular. It's like someone wrote a sky hole in a movie. It's like all movies will now have sky holes. So anyway, so I love the adventure of it. It's not as great as the originals. You know, it's a fun little adventure movie. The Nazis are the bad guys again. They just like had enough of the Russians, like back to the Germans again. And even though it's late '60s, early '70s, it's still like a full Nazi crew running around. And anyway, it's an adventure movie, but I would like something a little more grounded. Maybe I've had enough of the outlandish.
Okay.
For a while. So that's my take. But have fun at Mission Impossible.
Well, I think I don't think Asteroid City is for you.
You're probably right. I don't know if it's my age or just how, because I work kind of Hollywood or what. Well, just or just the amount of hours I put into.
Got to be your age.
I just don't think it's very hard for me to like movies and TV shows anymore. I don't know. I'm just like everything. I'm like,
I hear
this
that
is just a copy of something earlier. So I don't know.
Well, anyway, I don't know if we want to get into my.
We have a lot of soccer to talk about.
Depths of my psychology. So let's skip that. Yeah. Okay. Forget about it.
No, what were we gonna say?
No. Never mind. I was going to go on a diatribe about aging and movies, but I'll save it for another day. It's fine. There's lots of things to talk about. We don't need filler. There's lots of soccer being played.
True.
American soccer, and especially MLS, had a roller coaster of a week. The ups and downs, the highs and the lows, and we're all in full effect. What were you going to say?
As we talk about movies and the lack of originality from Hollywood, the amount of times I've heard this week that like, wow, Hollywood couldn't write a better ending than that. I was like, actually, that's the most average Hollywood ending I could think of. Hollywood could definitely write a better ending. I'm talking about Leo Messi scoring his free kick on his debut.
Oh.
That's exactly what a Hollywood writer would write.
So you're
using that term wrong. I know it's because I'm communicating.
Well, people get excited, so they
Hollywood couldn't write an ending better than that.
What
are you talking about? It's the most average of endings to write. The better Hollywood ending would be like he tried to kick a free kick, but then an alien came from outer space and stole him, and then a frickin' Jason Reitman or whoever looks up and be like, "Wow, an alien stole him," and then flew off. Which I assume was a part of Asteroid City, right? Did I get that right?
Yeah, definitely. People fall over each other with superlatives, and it gets convoluted. The Athletic had a headline: "A moment unlike few in MLS history." I'm like, that's not what you mean. Unlike few means a moment like many. That's not what you're trying to say. You're trying to say this is a special thing, right?
A moment not unlike few. Like,
yeah, exactly. You needed yet another negative in there for it to be actually expressing what you're trying to say. Anyway,
but you're
skipping the lows
right,
here.
Let's go back.
As the MLS boosters that we are sometimes accused of being.
We had a big week, and we're going to go chronological. So the beginning of this week was MLS All-Star, right? Let's start with that, right?
Was there
a game a couple days before then?
I don't know. Whatever. No, not in
something I talked about.
No, there wasn't.
Anyway,
we had games that weekend, but we talked about the Monday. No, the All-Star game. Arsenal crushed the MLS All-Stars.
Yeah, it was embarrassing. It was embarrassing. Wayne Rooney was asked what he learned from this game as a coach. Did absolutely nothing. He also blasted his preparation.
Wayne Rooney had a lot of complaints.
Yeah, but I'm wondering if it's any different than any of the last MLS All-Star coaches. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Red Bulls. Oh, that was over the weekend. Yeah. And it's just like, I don't know. I've seen this before. I remember years ago in 2011 when Manchester United's reserves destroyed Bruce Arena in the MLS All Stars, like 6-1. An unknown Luke Cleverley was like running circles around our guys. So it's happened before, but it was Balogun said it's like we took this game very seriously, and Arsenal came prepared. However, the MLS All Stars were shockingly bad. Did you see the Kai Havertz goal at the end? That's one of the worst defending I've ever. I'm trying to think who that was. But I mean,
it's not a real team. They don't play together. It's
True.
like,
and apparently they never practiced either.
I think, but I mean, it's already. It's like this is a nod to American sports, the All-Star game. They don't have All-Star games in the Bundesliga or the Prem or whatever. This is an American thing, and it's just a spectacle. It doesn't mean anything, and any kind of to attach any kind of meaning to it is completely futile. And this idea of we're going to measure ourselves against the top European teams, and that somehow like some expression of progress or where we stand or whatever. It's all complete nonsense. Yeah. And for a while they stopped doing it. They had the Liga MX thing because that's the rivalry. Now we have the Leagues Cup, so they didn't want to do the All-Star version of that yet again right before, which I understand. Just do East versus West, man.
Yeah,
we got a gazillion teams now. There's all sorts of players that are deserving that don't get these spots. They should just do East versus West and that'd be that. I don't know. I mean,
Am I wrong to think the Liga MX versus MLS All-Star would have actually been perfectly fine as a great way to kick off the Leagues Cup? Like, why would it have been?
I think that's why they didn't want to do it again because. And I mean, the thing about not practicing, it's like already teams that send players to this are at a disadvantage. You send these people have to play in this meaningless game in the middle of the season. Now you want them to practice more so that they can do better. It's like, no, like it's just stupid. It's like there's no solution. And it
was also flawed because Wayne Rooney had too many coaches picks. Like Tyler Miller was his goalkeeper, whereas Andre Blake wasn't selected. And we're like, huh?
Right.
Tyler Miller is our best goalkeeper?
Yeah, Tyler Miller is average. But anyway, but there's nothing to get out of this thing or like, and Wayne Rooney, I don't know. I mean, I guess he was complaining about the referee and
I know it's nonsense.
I don't know.
What I will say is the skills challenge the day before was a blast.
Oh, the skills challenge.
Aaron Ramsdale won two goalie wars. But what I'm saying is if this is going to be like a soccer carnival, like a soccer festival, on Reddit, someone suggested to replace the game with like a 7v7 legends, like really have fun. Like let's make it a soccer carnival. Let's get let's get some over 40s in there. Let's get frickin' like Ronaldinho and Jurgen Klinsmann on a 7-person team. And like let's just like let's have a soccer game but really change the rules. Like let's frickin' have at it. Let's have let's just make it a bonkers little soccer fest. Bring back the running penalty kicks from the old days. Like have it be just a fun thing where no one takes it seriously. So to have fun but avoid embarrassment in the future. To have it be what it really is. A soccer party where the league can have a meeting and make a couple of
just have some fun. I mean, and it's also the Euros. I mean, the Euro snobs will never approve of anything. I had some of my Euro snob friends making fun of the goalie wars. And who they didn't even get MLS keepers, they just got next pro
reserve keepers.
Do that.
Yeah, it should have been Roman Berkey versus
Roman Berkey against Tyler Miller. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, Aaron Ramsdale wanted to.
I don't know. It's Kai Havertz. We can also the other MLS had an up and down week. Kai Havertz also had a lot going on this week. He went 0 in the cross and volley challenge, which has never happened before.
Only to redeem himself to score that goal at the end on a cross.
Game, but then, well, anyway, we'll get to that. Then he had another. Then his week took another turn later. But,
but anyway, so that's the MLS All-Star game. It's
MLS All-Star game.
We still haven't found the formula.
We have Sebas S here talking shit about my team in the chat. And NYCFC suck. The Red Bulls always beat them. That is not true.
true.
I have been at games. I've witnessed several
No,
games.
you haven't witnessed several. You witnessed 2 games at best.
I've
witnessed like 7 games.
I've been to more than 2 or 3 games where we have beaten the Red Bulls. That is
I doubt that.
What?
I'm gonna be like a propaganda minister here.
David Villa scored a hat trick against you.
I'm gonna be a propaganda minister.
Scored through. Oh, you're gonna just make stuff up okay. Right? Well, anyway.
Oh, we'll talk about that in a second.
My God, we were jumping ahead.
I love Seba S. It's good to have a Rebels fan in the chat. It's not the same way Rebels being New England. We will talk about that.
I don't think he has said that he is a Red Bulls fan. He only has said that NYCFC sucks. We know he
Rebels
does not
always beat them. Well, he brought up the Rebels twice.
Okay, if he's a Red Bulls fan, that's fine. But I'm just saying you have this tendency, we've talked about this, to rush into these get too intimate too quickly in these relationships.
See, Seba S.
But there he is. Seba S is a Red Bulls fan. All right, well there you are.
All right, he's just being a proud Red Bulls fan. There aren't many of us left, Bjorn, so it's nice that we exist still. All right, I will say, obviously, it's hyperbole to always beat them, but 2 out of 3 we tend to beat. Like we play extra hard. But the sad reality is neither of our clubs are covered in glory this season. We're both having all sorts of problems on and off the field. Us maybe more off the field. You maybe a little more on the field. But still, glad to be here. Well, Red Bulls did have a good game against. So we're doing this chronologically. With a big week. A big week. So, and then the other news is the Leagues Cup came, and you were excited. I didn't know what to feel. But I'll tell you, the Leagues Cup has been a lot of fun. I have enjoyed.
Well, it started with the Messi arrival,
and I love that game. Not only was it the Messi arrival, it was Messi for Inter Miami, and then it was the U.S. women playing against Vietnam, kind of counter programming. And both of those games in this country where no one cares about the sport, no one cares about it's not a real sport. Both those games drew millions of viewers separately too. We had not 1 but 2 big soccer events in America, and they both outdrew like everything else. So I just want to, on Twitter, I see a lot of the whole, like, someone recently released a survey where Americans think soccer will never be popular, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm sick of that. It's like, it's very popular.
The Messi effect is here.
Just in general, I was a little preview. Jordan and me went to huge games.
Yeah, huge huge international, huge friendlies. Yeah, I went on Saturday to the Arsenal Man United game, and it was 82,000 something people at MetLife.
I didn't even know that MetLife could fit the 82,000.
Yeah, it was some kind of a record. They said they said that, because I was there. I had seen, this was my second soccer game there. I'd seen the Copa America final, and that was pretty sold out. But I guess they squeezed more people in this time. So yeah, 82,262 or whatever, something like that.
And I went to the Rose Bowl to watch Real Madrid, AC Milan, with 72,000 of my closest friends.
Oh, was Pulisic playing?
Pulisic was playing, Vini Jr. was playing, Rodrigo was playing, Luka Modric was playing, Toni Kroos was playing, Olivier Giroud was playing. Like, so many players I totally forgot were still around, were playing. It was a very cool.
It's the retirement league, Serie A.
Yeah. And well, Luka Modric is still playing for Real Madrid. He's like 38 or whatever.
Yeah, well, he's still good.
But anyway, I'm looking at that and this packed house, and then we have Messi. Everyone's talking about Messi.
We
have the U.S. women. It's like soccer is very popular.
Soccer is here.
People need to stop bringing up the fact that it's improving, or it's like, will it be popular? It's like, we're outdraw.
It's no longer the sport of the future. It's now the future is now.
Yeah, sport of the summer.
I mean, the Messi thing was pretty wild, though. I mean, I did see this. I was thinking about this. I'm not one to get. Like, you like some people more than others, of course, but I'm not generally a fan of individual players. Like, I'm much more interested when it comes to the game, or my interest in the game is much more about how it all kind of works together, and the magic that happens when the result is more than the sum of its parts, blah 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 blah. But having said that, that was pretty crazy. I mean, you can't, like, Messi really sort of transcends that a little bit. That guy, I mean, was just amazing. I mean, the
Real, isn't it?
What I was sort of reminded of was the Pirlo, when Pirlo debuted for NYCFC. He didn't quite. I mean, I thought he was fine in his time with us. I didn't think he was the flop that a lot of people made him out to be. But I mean, it wasn't like, it was they were limited highlights of his career, but the game, his debut was magic. Like, he came off the bench and
nothing like it. And it was so surreal. It wasn't just him. It was Busquets. It was Joseph Martinez playing off him so fast. It was also how Messi behaving.
I was talking about Pirlo in 2015. I was making.
Oh yeah, no one gives a crap about
making that.
But
all right then. So yeah, Busquets was good too.
Now this debut was mad. Like with that, when Beckham debuted, it took photos, but the dude had like a broken foot. So, Messi was ready. He's like, I'm coming on the 50th minute, which is a weird time to come on to a game. I'm going to give you 45 good minutes. And then him and Busquets, and it was very surreal. And he was like, I'm Messi. I'm ready to go. And and they did a lot of tricks. Like, he screwed the Cruz Azul defenders a couple times. It was like so much fun. Because, with Andre Pirlo and all these guys, so many legends are a little too over the hill, a little more on vacay, and they're sort of, also MLS is tough. So, like Gonzalo Higuain thought he could play with a cigarette in his mouth. No, Messi's happy to be here. You could tell it almost feels as if he was freed from his time in a Parisian jail for a couple of seasons, and it seems like he's playing for fun again.
Okay. Well,
and he's looking happy. There was a video on Twitter where like someone Busquets passed Messi the ball, and he's like, in 2 years of Paris, no one passed to Messi like this. Because like it's not just Messi; he's also being enabled by Busquets.
Yeah, I mean, people. Yeah, obviously, this was a game that invited the kind of talk, but I mean, if you watch the thing, you also immediately, it was clear what the problems are, because they should not have won that game. They should have lost that game. I mean, Cruz Azul's finishing was pretty poor. They had a lot of, and even after Messi came on, they conceded the equalizer. Him and Josef Martinez together up front is basically, you're playing two men down defensively. Like, those dudes do not defend their position even a little bit. So this is, I think it is going to be interesting. I mean, there's definitely some magic there, and of course that stoppage time goal was incredible. But you can also see how there's going to be some growing pains. They're not just going to blow everybody away, because Busquets had a lot of time. Cruz Azul was pretty deep, was kind of sitting far back. And that's not always going to be the case. And so, anyway, it's going to be fascinating to watch how this all comes together, and highly, highly entertaining.
Yeah, I agree. I'm really excited. But with all that, you're right. But with all that being said, believe in Tata. Well, everyone's looking at Leo Messi and Busquets, and they're throwing that in your face. What no one's looking at is Tata's making some decent U22 signings from South America, the hottest prospects. I think they've already been linked to 3 guys, already signed a guy from, I think, Paraguay. Like Tata Martino knows his stuff. He's an MLS Cup winner. He's just, and no one's looking at him so closely because Messi's taking the spotlight. So Tata could actually build a team while no one's looking. So I believe Inter Miami has got some bright.
Yeah, they're gonna eventually be good. But I'm still on record as saying they're not gonna make the playoffs, and I'm gonna stick with that.
I'm gonna refrain from making a prediction. I think they're definitely gonna shake up the East. But you're right. If they're gonna make it all the way to the playoffs, it's unlikely. But maybe it's part of Messi's lore, because the dude, we've just never had this kind of talent in the league before. The dude is really talented, and we'll see. We'll see if he'll rip through this league like a PlayStation player. I don't know. But that kicked off the League's Cup. The other part of Inter Miami is Jordi Alba signing. Luis Suarez wants to pay out his own contract to join. And it's like, how are they even affording the players they have now? Like, the mechanisms aren't 100% adding up. Like with Jordi Alba, I think it is that they are allowed to have him for 6 months before his DP status triggers in the winter or something. There's a lot of complex stuff going on here that
I'm sure the league will do their best to make it happen for them, because I mean, yeah, it's all this is what the world wants to see. I mean, there was this, I don't know if it happened already. I heard there was an owners meeting scheduled.
Right.
I think maybe. Yeah, I don't know. Did we hear what happened there? I mean, it seems like there may also be, the time has come to perhaps loosen the restrictions a little bit. Like maybe Messi will have an impact in that sense. I guess Beckham did in terms of the DP rule and whatnot. So there may be more changes coming. We'll see.
That could be the Jordi Alba rule, because like he's being signed as a non-DP, and same with Joseph Martinez. I think he's a TAM player, just so he can be triggered by the wintertime. And Inter Miami is probably hoping that by wintertime they're allowed to have 4 DPs, because they have to, because that, you know, they have, you know what I mean? There's no other ways to keep Jordi Alba without opening up those rules, I think. I know Jorge Mas talked about how the other owners were excited. It was infectious. And Jorge Mas is a huge proponent, Inter Miami owner, of opening up those rules. And you could tell in the league that there's the new owners that want to spend.
Yeah. There's
the old
crusties
that like don't want to spend.
I have that. The analogy that I like to make is it's like a Manhattan MLS is like a Manhattan co-op building where some people bought in the 80s, and their apartment cost $200,000, and some people bought in recently in their apartment they bought their place for $3 million, and they're like, can we get a roof garden? And but the OGs are all broke, and they're like, no. we can't afford that.
Or not just broke, the OGs are like cashing checks to the bank. They're like, we're making money with our philosophy here. Like your money coming in is great for us because
it's good. It's subsidizing our propping up our values. Yeah, exactly. My apartment is worth $3 million, but I think at some point that's going to tip. There's no question.
It's called promotion relegation, Bjorn. It's going to tip that way. Yeah, promotion relegation is a great way for all the crusty cheapo owners to hang out in the second division, and all the excited owners to hang out in the top division. It's like a natural selection, if it were.
This is your okay. Well, all right.
But I apologize. I'm not going to open that can of worms. I'm just saying that's one for pro rel. I'm saying let the cheap owners be cheap, the rich owners be rich.
Why would they agree? Why would they agree to that? After having invested hundreds of millions of dollars, that's why these franchises are worth what they're worth, because there's
the old owners did invest hundreds of millions of dollars in anything.
But there's so few of those left at this point. So they're gonna only they can get relegated, so that the people that paid big money cannot be. So it's gonna be like the Super League, only a couple, only the minnows can get relegated.
Well, let the competitors compete, that's all I'm trying to say. Anyway, but yeah, you're right. This Messi effect, we haven't seen it's off. I'm assuming maybe by MLS Cup there'll be a press release be like, moving forward there will be 4 DPs and there'll be more TAM spot. I believe it'll open up. I do believe it'll open up, which I'm for. I'm all for. I think that's not a bad idea at all. Open it up, man. Right.
The problem is money. The problem. Sebas is saying how the original teams have low attendance, the new teams have high attendance. Yeah, it's true. It's a problem. The problem is that these well, anyway, if we want to get it, we will have a business episode soon. But there is, the values of these franchises are inflated. They're artificially propped up
100%.
by these expansion fees and blah blah blah. If they were fairly priced, then these old owners could sell their teams at a profit. But there's not a lot of, at these rates that these franchises are. There's not a ton of. There's not a lot of people lining up to buy these teams at those rates. So
this is what I want to do, Bjorn. I have a dream. If I was a super billionaire, this would be my dream. I would go to Austria, and I would offer half. I would offer to buy 50% of the New York Red Bulls, and I'll be like, it'll stay the New York Red Bulls. It'll stay the training facility. You get everything you want out of it. You get the kids. You get right of first refusal of all the kids that come through. All the stuff you want from the New York Red Bulls. It's allowed to be a giant Red Bull advertisement or whatever. Like everything you want, you keep. However, I'm allowed to operate it as a local owner. I'm allowed to spend money in it, and I'm allowed to sign players and turn it into a club. That's what I want. And I want to revive my New York Red Bulls again. Because like Sebas was saying earlier, it's yet another transfer window where we're hearing nothing except for one thing, Bjorn. What is the one thing we're hearing at the New York Red Bulls, do you think? What's the one piece of news about a transfer?
Transfer out?
Yes.
I haven't.
Who do you think is transferring out?
Your best player.
Our sporting director.
Oh, okay. Well,
we have a big summer. It's like we need a forward,
good riddance.
We need a freaking left back. We need a holding midfielder. And the guy who's supposed to do it is being linked to leave the club. So it's like, well, I guess that's not going to happen. Sebas said he was at the Red Bulls game. A fan asked Troy, and Troy, in a polite way, said that we don't give a fuck and do nothing in transfer window. I mean, I'm sure. Yeah, exactly. Troy, they use the type of words where it's like, oh, we're going to stick to who we got. I love the New York Red Bulls.
We feel good about our roster. We have a competitive roster. Yeah, you would not, by the way, with your billionaire strategy, I would predict that you would not be a billionaire for long. You would you want to spend money without owning anything.
No, I would be 50% owner, so all the profits, I get half of that. So if I propped up the entire team, I'd get profits.
So you would, but you only get half of the profits but making 100% of the investment. Anyway,
no, I bought the club at a discount because it's only 50%. I'm not. If I spent the whole thing, it'd be twice the money. Listen, I'm a super genius here. Okay, my math is great. It's a cheap way to buy in the league, but have full control because the Red Bull doesn't care. They just want their kids. So it's like a great way to buy a club at a discount. But anywho,
it's almost too
easy. The other big news for the New York Red Bulls, we did one good thing. Remember last week when I said we need to fire our head of sports science because of all the injuries? Well, the next day they fired their head of sports science and they replaced him with a more competent sports science physio.
They should. Well, hopefully, we don't know yet.
Well, I mean, yeah, you're right. It could be equally. So they did that. So that's good. So we have 8 injuries all season, including our best players, and then we don't sign replacement players. Like, Sebas said it best. We just got rid of Christian Caceres, one of our key players, and it's like, we're not going to buy a new one or anything. We're down a midfielder. And then they're going to sign more Red Bull 2 players.
Well, you have a history of doing this. My team does not have a history of doing this, but the same thing happened to us on Friday where the only guy who consistently has scored goals this season, our right winger Gabi Pereira, got shipped to a team in Qatar overnight, kind of out of nowhere, and that was a little deflating. I mean, our season is already, we're probably not going to make the playoffs, and this felt like when I first heard about it, I was like, oh, so now we're just going to ride out this year and we're just going to write it off. I don't know. When I heard that that it was an 8-figure transfer amount, I was like, that made me feel a little differently. I think if you're getting $10 or $11 million for Gabi Pereira, you got to do that every time. If Tati Castellanos is worth 15 now after being on loan for like a year and a half or however long, then if you're getting 10 or 11 for Gabi Pereira, you got to make that deal. The problem is not
riddle me this.
The problem is not that the outgoing that we are letting go of people. The problem is we're not replacing them for some reason. Although we did now finally, we had Burke Risa, and we got a couple minutes from Munsef Bakra, our new number 9 yesterday. Sebas is saying NYCFC is not making the playoffs because they lost Sean Johnson. I don't think that's I would have argued with that more forcefully before yesterday because
it's pretty. Who was it? Freeze or Barraza? Who did that?
Barraza yesterday kind of had a bit of a howler, and he's had a couple of problems. I am definitely, but has Sean Johnson been so great for Toronto?
No. Toronto's doing worse. So, but riddle me this, Bjorn. Ricardo Pepi, $20 million to Ausboy.
Mm-hmm.
Tati Castellanos, $15 million to Lazio. Does it? Even though the $15 million mark, they're really happy about it. Is it? Am I wrong to think they should have gotten more for Tati Castellanos?
For Tati, well, he's not there's an age difference. He's a few years older. Then he's like, I think he's 24, 25, 24. I mean, in terms of that's a big difference. I think, how old was Pepe when he got like 20? I think there's, 20, you're paying for a potential upside. Like, he's still developing. And that's 4 years. I think that's the big difference. You pay more for younger. I mean, you pay a lot of money for really top talent, but then when it comes to those,
especially in today's market,
younger is more expensive.
Today's market's so weird because Saudi Arabia just offered $320 million to Mbappe, no problemo.
Those are just
and Qatar is jealous. So, like, the Middle East tried to break soccer, and Saudi Arabia just has a blank check to just buy all the best players. And Qatar
we said that about China a couple of years ago.
Yeah. And Qatar, not to be outdone, is like, yeah, we could do it too, but they have to shop in the bargain bin, so they're coming to MLS. They can't go to the Prem. They have to come to MLS. They offered Hane Mukhtar a big contract. Hane Mukhtar said no and stayed with Nashville for way less money because Hane Mukhtar is a good man. However, like you said, Gabi Pereira went to Qatar, and some player like the Middle East is coming, man. China stopped because the Chinese president told him to stop. We have to think to ourselves, is this Prince, the guy who killed Khashoggi, who's running all this stuff, is he going to stop it? Or is he just going to be like, you know what, we got a blank check, let's keep it going? So we'll see. We'll see. We'll see if he can stop it. Sebas, talk about my New York Red Bulls, of course. We definitely could use a Joseph Martinez. He would have the same plans I would have. He'd buy it, relabel it, get a big star. Who's the big star you would get? Would you get Kylian Mbappe? And the New York Red Bulls prime is 2013-2018. True.
It's our question of the week. If you owned the Red Bulls, would you get Kylian Mbappe?
Well, in New York City, what big star name would fill the stadium?
Well, this is the thing. This is the other. I worked myself into a full-on social media depression on Friday, listening to all the Twitter jockeys who have opinions about the Gabi Pereira transfer and how this means like, oh, we're going cheap because of the stadium and we're going to like be bad for a few years. And then we're going to bring on, it's going to be
right.
Inter Miami. Somebody, I forget who it was. Somebody on Twitter was like, Inter Miami has become the blueprint. You're going to get a big star. And it's like, no. Inter Miami is not the blueprint for anything because there's only
Leo Messi is one of a kind. Yeah,
there's nobody else. There's nobody else that moves the needle like that.
Right.
Not even Mbappe. Mbappe, I guess, Mbappe is in his prime and is like, you can't even. That's not even conceivable that he would come to Major League Soccer right now. But anyway, even him, I don't know. He's not like Messi. He doesn't have that status at this point. We'll see what happens as time goes on. But there's a very, very finite number of those kinds of players that move the needle to that extent. So it's not like you can just be like, oh, we'll save up some money and then we'll get whoever. It's not a blueprint. This is an exception. And I don't think that CFG is just content to like be bad for 4 years. Also, the economics are so different. If you have like $1 billion for a stadium, then you gotta save like a couple million on not bringing in a DP. I don't know. It's like
right.
Anyway, there were a lot of
people are making.
There was a lot of nonsense floating around on Twitter, and I got really, I usually am pretty good about like, letting that just pass me by. I don't know. On Friday, I by the end of the day, I was like, I want my 6 hours back that I spent like reading all this stuff.
Yeah, who knows?
Thomas Müller, Sebas S would bring Thomas Müller to the Red Bulls and Mbappe. Perfect.
I think that'd be amazing. I'd go to that.
Great plan. Excellent plan.
I want to come out here to LAFC though, especially with Bayern Munich and LAFC's new agreement. I can watch them every week. But the New York Red Bulls played the New England Revolution over the weekend and beat them. John Tolkien did a funny little celebration, a meme-like celebration when he stuck his butt out.
Oh, this was a Leagues Cup game? Oh, they played them
all the Leagues Cup games.
Okay.
MLS is off. It's just Leagues Cup. Which begs the question, and they got criticized for having an empty stadium, and everyone's like, the owners don't care, and blah, blah, blah. Sebas and me, okay, we've seen it all. We are the I mean, I don't know. Is this wrong? I don't know what it's like to be a Chicago Fire fan or a San Jose Earthquakes fan, but being a New York Red Bulls fan, like the real core, we should get like an award, okay, because of the abuse and the difficulties we see in the record 6-7 transfer windows where we see nothing. And it's just our, essentially like a JV team. And we're still winning. We're still doing okay. We're not winning
amazing
this season, but we're still
I'll make you. I'll make you an award. What do I have?
The prime 2013 2018. Right, the prime years of the New York Red Bulls are what Philly's doing now, but a little bit better. We need to get that back. We need more veteran players. We're not a team of stars.
You need Ernst Tanner.
You need the Ernst Tanner effect. But we also had Jesse Marsh, who's a great coach. I like Troy. I think he's a good coach. But the problem is we just don't have enough senior players that are healthy. We have some, but they're injured. And we're just not replacing them. We're leaning very heavy on our Red Bull 2 Academy, which is great. But I think we're leaning too heavy on it. Philly Union is a perfect example of like what we're trying to be, what we should be. And Jochen Schneider is not Ernst Tanner, at least not yet. That's not what we're seeing. So hopefully they're building a good team for the future. And I think when the team does, what is that? What do you got there? What do we got? There's a person. It's blurry. I can't even see it.
It's the Red Bull Fan Award. Yeah.
Wait a minute. It should say MLS Fan Award.
No, it's just Red Bulls.
So that's just we're the only nominees.
Yeah,
we're the only nominees.
You're getting it. You're the winner of the inaugural Red Bull Fan Award.
I'd like to thank Dietrich Mateschitz, that old dead Nazi who died about a year ago, for making this all possible. Seba S. Fun fact: if Red Bulls get first in group, NYCFC gets second, then first round would be NYCFC versus the New York.
Oh, are we going to get second though? Or are we going to win another game this year? I don't know. I think this has.
Speaking of Nazis, let's talk the NYCFC Atlas.
Let's not even get into that. Well, good.
Wait, we have to get into that. It was a big. We have to get into that.
They were good. The good news was we had an enormous crowd yesterday, Citi Field. I was looking online to see if there were any official announcement as to how many people there were, but it was full. I think somebody was saying. So I was there, of course.
Well, how many Atlas? Was it like 2 Atlas fans?
Oh yeah, there were a lot of Atlas fans, but we were competitive in terms of noise for sure. It was back and forth.
Let me write up your award. Then. If you got an award, I got an award for you.
What?
You were competitive as far as your noise?
I don't see us. Yeah, it wasn't. I was worried, when you're playing the Mexican teams, certainly when we were playing Tigres, they were much louder than we were in New Jersey. But in this case, our fans were very loud, and it got heated at the end. We fell behind because of a defensive blunder collectively from Barraza, and also, the guy was also quite open. And then, it was the same as it's been like all season. We played pretty well, generated some stuff. Thales Magno was the 9 for a lot of it. He was more engaged than usual, but couldn't get it over the line despite a bunch of chances. And then we got in. We saw Munsif. I wasn't asking. What? I can't even read it.
It's terrible handwriting, but I got you a nice award. NYCFC, the biggest mouths award, loudest mouths award.
Loudest. All right, I'll take it. It's in red, though. I don't know if that was necessary, but okay.
It's built by. It's from the Red Bulls fan community to our friends in the NYCFC fan community.
Daniel Young is putting it well. He says that game was good but sad, and yeah, it was good but sad. And I would. That's well put. I think we thought we had the equalizer, Justin Hack. Then it took them like 18 minutes. I mean, it took a long time for VAR to overturn it. I was on the other side of the stadium, so I couldn't tell for sure, but I was immediately worried that might happen. And there was some back and forth on Twitter. I had sort of put myself after my social media depression on Friday, I put myself on Twitter hiatus, so I missed it all. But there was a lot of back and forth about, and a lot of NYCFC fans were of the opinion that this was incorrectly overruled. And then the Atlas, you probably can even tell this better. I just read this in The Athletic. Then the Atlas Twitter account tweeted something out quoting Joseph Goebbels, of all people, Nazi propaganda minister.
Our old friend Joseph Goebbels, the Nazi propaganda minister.
We should not make jokes like that. He's not
I apologize. As an American,
I mean, maybe I don't know.
Too close to home.
I don't want to speak for you.
Both of us. So I just saw highlights, to be honest. NYCFC had a goal overruled? It was ruled a goal, and then VAR called it offside. Rightfully or not rightfully?
I think ultimately correctly, I believe.
Right. But then Atlas tweeted that play, right? Isn't that what they were talking about? NYCFC?
Well, it was like, I guess there was some. I really have not. If I had been on Twitter yesterday and today, I would have more details. I think there was some confusion as to who was supposed to be offside, whether it was Hack or the person who laid it off to him. There were a bunch, and also because of the baseball thing, the lines are, it's a little bit hard. It's hard to tell, and from certain angles, it looked like he was on. But ultimately, I think Atlas found some picture that they deemed to be conclusive that he was actually off, and then that's when this admin got on a very high horse and accused everybody else of being modern day disciples of Goebbels and just lying about things.
I know that's a little extreme.
That they knew not to be. I mean, yeah, you think? Yeah, you would say.
That's the beauty of the Leagues Cup, Bjorn. Mexican teams are unhinged. They don't have,
first of all,
they don't have the integrity that we have.
I would say, just as a flow chart for this admin, I'd like step one is like just don't mention Goebbels, just as a general rule. Like, just don't. Like, that would be one way to go, and you'd probably be fine. You can go through your entire career, and that would probably not be an issue if you follow
this
the rule.
guy.
Now,
this Atlas Twitter guy is he's moonlighting as the Atlas Twitter guy, but he's a German history grad student at the university down the street.
I think he needs a hug.
He just read a book.
I think he needs a hug. Is what he needs. But
go give him one. You can get one from me. Fucking.
And then also, kind of, if you do feel like you have to disregard that rule of not mentioning Goebbels in your tweets, then you should. I don't know. That's not in good faith. Like, people weren't lying. People were genuinely,
I think he doesn't have an understanding of Goebbels or what happened.
Anyway,
I don't think
okay. So I'm spending again as I did on Friday. I'm spending too much time analyzing people's missives online.
Sebas thought it was an onside and should have been a goal for NYCFC.
Oh, interesting. But he's happy NYCFC. I have not. I don't have a personal. I don't have a personal opinion. I have not rewatched it. It was pretty painful, the whole thing, because it's like, obviously it was a late equalizer, well-deserved. We were celebrating and very happy. Then there was a long delay to figure it out. And then it finally gets, it's pretty deflating. And then we had Munsef Bakrar come off the bench and almost scored a goal. That was kind of briefly exciting. So I haven't watched any highlights, haven't watched anything back. I don't have a personal. I was under the impression that in the end we all landed on that it was correct, but maybe I'll look into it again. I don't know, and torture myself some more.
Yeah, I mean, it's seemingly, I guess it was correct. I don't know. But all I will say is big leagues cup talk. I didn't know what to expect. The MLS clubs were hosting, granted, but we're doing well. Minnesota destroyed Puebla 4-0. I mean, Mazatlan got Austin 3-1. Austin, again, really disappointing on the international stage. But overall, other than the NYCFC game, MLS clubs have been doing it.
Well. I mean, it was super fun as expected. As like Sebas is asking, it's like, yeah, there was a good crowd. It's always, when you play the Mexican teams, obviously there's a lot of people show up and they take it up a notch. Intensity is a little higher. There was a good crowd, and it was, it was frustrating to watch because we couldn't score, and that goal, Barraza giving up that goal was pretty upsetting. So it was Daniel Young said the game was good but sad.
Yeah, the other thing that I think is very interesting about this is that I love when we play the CONCACAF Champions League, but they always have an advantage because they're in a much better spot in their season. They're like in the prime of their season, while we're at the beginning of their season. This is reverse
season form. Yeah,
no, this is reverse because the Mexican clubs are only 3 weeks in. So now we're seeing the reverse effect. And what's interesting to me is that is having the reverse effect on our scores, which maybe indicates to me that our two leagues are closer than I realized. Now, granted, we're hosting, so we have a second advantage.
That's gotta make a difference.
We have two advantages.
We'll see how this, it's early days. We'll see how this shakes out.
Right.
Certainly we were not, Atlas will not come out of this game and be like, oh, we crushed those guys. No problem. Like they were pretty lucky to get away with this result.
Yeah, no, 100%. So, but so Leagues Cup is a little bit more fun and more competitive than expected, and
sorry to interrupt, and we're one of the shittier teams in the league this year. Has to be said.
Both of our teams, 100%.
This
could be a way for either of us to get a title. Like if Red Bulls beat New England, maybe the New York Red Bulls are going to win the Leagues Cup, dude.
Well, we're gonna go on Wednesday. This is like talking about sad. I was texting somebody today. This game on Wednesday that we're going to Red Bull Arena because neither Citi Field nor Yankee Stadium are available. So we're going to play Toronto in Red Bull Arena on Wednesday night, and that game has some low point of the season potential.
Are you gonna boo?
That could be.
You're gonna boo Sean Johnson. You're gonna boo.
That could be pretty. I'm not gonna boo Sean Johnson. I have nothing against. I don't have any beef with Sean Johnson, but I think it could be pretty sad. I don't know. Our fan base has not embraced that venue. So I don't know how many people will show up. We're not against Mexican opposition. I don't think a lot of Canadians will come. This could be
Wednesday.
It could be pretty sparsely attended, and we could lose this game, and it could be pretty sad.
Bring a bunch of vapes. Every time Bernardeschi scores a goal, throw a bunch of vapes at him or whatever. Give him his vapes.
I'm gonna go into the Ironbound and have some sangria, and that's gonna make it easier.
Oh yeah, Churrasco, Churrascaria, Judício, Carne. But Sebas wants to know if you had fun. Did you at least have fun? I love this. I love going to these games, of course. Speaking of fun and going to games, you and me. Do you have any thoughts on the Leagues Cup? I'm excited to see it moving forward.
Let's see. Yeah, I'm ready to. I embrace it in theory, and I'm also ready to be done with it if we lose again on Wednesday.
100%. Penultimate topic is Bjorn and me both had lateral experiences where you want to talk about yours first? We both went to different soccer games.
Yes. Well, I am not usually one to do this kind of thing. Obviously we're all adults. People should do what they want. And we could all enjoy the soccer every way. But I do kind of, I judge them a little bit. Those American Premier League fans who go all out for, and it's like and just ignore their local teams, but they
right.
So I have I have opinions about that, and I certainly also have opinions about people paying. I think this was like a $300 ticket, $250, $300 ticket for a preseason game that means nothing. So, I would not go to these kinds of things unless somebody texts me and is like, hey, I have an extra ticket. It was free. I got these free tickets from a work thing or whatever. I have an extra one. Would you come? And of course, I do love a spectacle. So I did go. I made my way out on the train to MetLife Stadium. With that, by the way, it was much easier than I feared it would be. And so, in the intimate atmosphere of MetLife Stadium with 82,261 of my closest friends, I was able to observe Arsenal play Man United, and the catchphrase was "Old rivals, New York." So that was that's what they came up with, and so and that was pretty fun, I would say. I mean, it's obviously preseason friendly. I had my eye on Kai Havertz because I'm from Germany, and I like Kai, and I wish him well. I have to report, I don't think it's gonna go. This is my early day, unreasonably premature prediction is that this is not going to go well for Kai at Arsenal. Arsenal was playing their basically what probably is close to their starting lineup minus Gabriel Jesus. Eddie Nketiah started, and they have Declan Rice now, the $100 million number 6, and they had Martin Odegaard and Kai Havertz as sort of like a double 8-10 kind of. So the idea being that Declan Rice is going to do all the dirty work, and so they have Havertz and Odegaard as this kind of like double 10 behind the front line, which presumably would be Martinelli, Jesus, and Saka on the right. And that would be a pretty formidable attacking front. And I was like, that's kind of genius. But as the game went on, like it becomes obvious, like Kai Havertz just does not have any defensive urgency whatsoever. Like he was just very content to be like a traffic cone of people just kind of passing around him through the midfield. And I don't think that works in that position. And I think so and even as the game went on, I think he got a talking to a couple times, and it just didn't, like, I don't think
from Mikel Arteta.
I just don't think he has that in him. I just don't think that is sort of part of his
preseason, though. You can't really read too much into that.
I mean, for sure. I would.
What do you mean you're talking to Mikel Arteta? Told him, like, go run. I
mean,
back.
I didn't hear. I was on the second level. I didn't hear what he said to him, but it seemed like this was a problem that was obvious and was pointed out to him. And no, obviously, I preface this all by saying this is a prematurely alarmist. But I think he's gonna not be a starter. I think he's going to be the Martinelli sub. Like he's going to be a winger sub for if somebody needs a day off. That's how this is going to turn out. I don't think he has the defensive urgency to be a midfielder. That's what I took away from this.
He should have done better at the MLS Skills Challenge. I agree.
Well, he did well in the game. He is up and down. Skills Challenge bad. All-Star game good. Man United.
I would argue
here's another thing.
In the game because of terrible defending, though. Like you're not in no game in the Prem is a guy going to miss that header.
You say tomato. We'll see. We don't know.
Right.
We'll find out. I mean, there's sometimes people make mistakes in the Prem.
I wish him the best. I wish him the best. I like Kai. I do like Kai, but like looking at him for this, because and as a neutral, I have no skin in the game. I don't care about either of those teams really. Like I'm interested. I'm always like I said, I'm always interested in how these things kind of work together, how midfield's set up, and so that was very interesting. It was interesting to watch. And I don't know. We'll see. We'll find out. And I think I was thinking of Basti Schweinsteiger, about like we've lost the culture of fighting hard. It's like, Kai Havertz for sure does not have
does not have a defensively fighting bone in his body. It seems like. I don't know. We'll find. We'll more will be revealed. The other thing, one more thing I want to see, and this is another kind of dig at my my Eurosnob friends who were like, they had an odd thing happened at this game, which at halftime we were told that we should stick around for a penalty kick exhibition, regardless of result.
Oh, I saw that picture on Twitter.
So they did so after the game, which Man United won 2-0, there was a penalty kick shootout.
Why? That's so weird.
And I guess and I was
maybe
like,
they
why
chose to practice?
And why are they doing that? Why is that happening? And I was like, what is this? And then the two guys one of them was like, oh, this is very smart. They have an opportunity to practice. It's a little bit of pressure. They get this. I was like, if this happened between two MLS clubs, you would not you would fall over yourself in ridicule.
It's always lose.
The MLS.
It's like we're
MLS doing everything wrong, and the Premier League teams is like four-dimensional chess. This is such an intelligent move for them to do this gratuitous.
It goes back to the All-Star game.
Anyway,
if the MLS All-Stars win, if the MLS All-Stars would have won, would have been like, it's a friendly.
Then it's pretty.
If Arsenal wins, it's like, it's because they're a better team. Right? Exactly.
Well, I mean, they are a better team, but
it's lose-lose. What I'm saying.
But that's not. But it's like the All-Star game has always relied on the Euro team being in preseason, playing their reserves, and rolling over so that MLS can feel good. If you look at these teams on paper, they're not competitive anyway.
Let's do a little. Do you have any last thoughts on the game? There was a big fight on Twitter between.
There was Arsenal fans were fighting each other. I don't know why. It's relatively close to our section, but I have no insights. I don't think it was on Twitter somebody saying they were fighting over what Kai Havertz's natural position is. I don't know. I think that's funny, but I don't think that's it.
Let's do a little chat. Let's do a little chat. Catch up. Sebas S. Stefan, are you going to the Red Bulls versus Inter Miami game on August? I imagine 26. It's not 36 because I'm going to the game. It's cool you go to the game. I'm not going to be there, unfortunately, because I actually live in Los Angeles these days. I'm going to be in New York in October. I'm going to the New York Red Bulls Toronto game, but that might be the only New York Red Bulls I go see live all season. I'm definitely going to watch it on TV, and it's going to be a full house full of 90% Messi fans, like 5 to 10% Red Bulls fans.
Yeah.
But at least it'll be hopping, so that'll be fun. So good for you. Go there, root hard, go Red Bulls. What do you think of long penalty shootout versus Leon versus Whitecaps, which is the one Leagues Cup thing we missed?
Oh yeah,
they went to like 21,
36 penalties. There was a guy.
That's got to be a record, right?
The guy, I don't know. I haven't looked it up, but it must be. This doesn't happen that often. A guy had the privilege, a Whitecaps player, I forget his name, had the privilege of missing 2 penalties in one shootout. That doesn't happen very often that you get that chance. But that was wild. Yeah,
it also featured Brian White, the one that got away.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Rebels. It was just the long shootout was just tired legs over and over and over again, and it was just glad that it finally finished. But if I'm in the audience or in the crowd, that's a fun thing to watch. Stefan, who's your favorite Red Bull player currently?
Right now, he asks.
I'm trying to think. Currently, I mean, it was Lewis Morgan, I guess, but the dude's injured, so I'm like a guy who's currently actively playing. It might be a tie between Carlos Cornell and John Tolkien. I think John Tolkien's crushing it. I love that he's stepping up. He's from the youth academy, and he's crushing it. So I'd have to say, I'll say Tolkien. I'll just say Tolkien. Keep it simple.
Yeah,
who's your favorite?
I mean, I just love a defensive midfielder. So I would have to say Jimmy Sands. Keaton Parks closely behind. Current favorites. Yeah, I think that's who I would say.
What I like about that choice, you know me, I'm as you said, the nationalist of the two of us. I like to be more patriotic, or maybe a little more traditional. It's like the fact that they are homegrown American players.
Yeah, I mean, Keaton Parks is not home. Yeah. Keaton Parks was at Benfica for a long time. But
yeah,
yeah,
well,
Jimmy. I mean,
yeah.
I think with Jimmy said that is part of my connection. Like, yeah, we saw him from an academy kid who had some promise to, eventually playing for the national team. Yeah, that's part of it. I definitely feel attached to that guy.
To me, that's MLS's like one of MLS's main jobs is to hire local kids, develop them. Like Leo Messi's in the league, but then the New York Red Bulls' job is to get a kid from New Jersey and put him up against Leo Messi and get him ready for that. You know what I mean? And if they're ready to go, like Tyler Adams, send them on to Europe to compete even higher.
No, that's very cool when that happens. But I'm a total homer. I love them. It's also fun because the other thing about MLS versus, let's say, the Premier League, you find these guys that you've never heard of, and they come from somewhere, and then you get to know them, and they're good, and then you just, I don't know, no matter where they're from, it's always exciting. Like the Jack Harrison, Tati Castellanos stories are fun as well, where somebody comes young and then gets someplace, or people. Yeah. So I got excited about Munsef Bakra, who, one thing I will say, he was advertised at 6 feet. He's not 6 feet. He's like 5'10", maybe. It's like, why do people do that? Like, that's so weird.
That's an Algerian 6 feet. In Algeria, that's 6 feet.
But isn't that a weird thing? You're saying like how tall somebody is, and you just gotta lie about it. Like, it's just weird. Like, I mean, you see
how do you know he's 5'10"?
You see them warming up. Well, I saw him warming up. He was coming off the bench. He was warming up, and Justin Hack and Christian McFarlane, the kid from the 15-year-old kid from NYCFC Academy, they're all listed at 6 feet, and they're all warming up, and he is like significantly shorter than either of them, and like you can easily tell from the stand. So I don't know, I would put him at like 5'10". It's just funny. It's like, it's just obvious. Why do people do that? Just say how tall you are. It's okay.
Yeah, it's like WWE, like, they're rounding up a little bit. Anyway, Sebas, what would be funny if one of the Red Bulls defenders nutmeg Messi? Hell yeah, I'm all for it. Let's get done. All right.
Hour 7. We're gonna need to wrap this up. What do you got to say?
We have 2 topics left, so let's hop
What?
forward. I also went to a game. You got to talk to a game I went to a game. I went to Real Madrid versus AC Milan.
Okay, tell us everything.
Okay, I woke up to a phone call. A friend of mine got free tickets from someone who works in the marketing department.
The same thing as this is a parallel. We're like the same person.
100%. However, this is a West Coast game featuring no EPL teams. This is Real Madrid versus AC Milan. Totally different crowd. Or actually a very similar crowd if you look at it differently. I was one of 10 people there to watch Pulisic. Everybody else, the other 7, me and 72,000, my closest friends, they were there for Vinny. It was actually a really fun game. A great crowd at the Rose Bowl. Great energy. AC Milan was up 2-0. Christian Pulisic with an assist. And in the second half, Real Madrid came back. I got to see Jude Bellingham. I got to see Toni Kroos. I just got every player. I'm like, oh yeah, that guy. Because I didn't prepare. I rolled out of bed and rushed to this game, not even knowing I was going to go to a game that day. And Toni Kroos, it was just so fun. And then 10 minutes before the end of the game, I leaned over to my friend who gave me the tickets. And he was dressed in a full pizza costume because he always goes to games trying to get on the Tron, and everyone's like, pizza, pizza, pizza.
Oh, okay.
We did not get on the Tron, but usually he gets on the Tron, but that's a side story. Anyway, I leaned to him, and I was like, Real Madrid's going to score on the counter, and Vinny Jr. is going to score the goal. That's what I said. 5 minutes later, that's exactly what happened. On the counter, Vinny Jr. scores the goal, 3-2. No penalty practicing afterwards. I don't know.
You should have a soccer podcast.
I should have soccer about because I am a genius. But it was a lot of fun. Getting out of Rose Bowl is a disaster. Again, I had to walk to downtown Pasadena, and then we had to wait like a half an hour just for an Uber to show up because. Anyway, leaving the Rose Bowl itself is a lot of fun, but a total mess. However, the game was a blast. It was a lot of fun. It was not my first one. I went to a Bayern München Juventus game in Philly, but this one was way more fun because the Rose Bowl just has a great atmosphere to it. And I'll tell you, I had a blast. Now, I agree with you. It's a bunch of it's LA, so the Real Madrid fandom is huge. We're all there. I see I see Real Madrid or whatever, like we're all yelling and it's just having a good time and the atmosphere. But it was a lot of fun. So I might go to another one on Thursday because Borussia Dortmund is playing in San Diego. And I might go to that to go check a look at.
On Friday. I'm going to Red Bull Arena twice this week. On Friday, a friend of mine invited me to go see Newcastle play Brighton. So
that'll be fun. So you and me are parallels, man. I'm going to be Borussia Dortmund versus Landon Donovan and the San Diego Loyal. That's what I'm going to be watching.
For somebody who frowns on these preseason friendlies from English teams, I seem to be going to a lot of them this year.
Well, as long as you're invited.
So what's now? I don't know if you. But what is Pulisic's position going to be in Milan? Where is he playing?
He played a left winger and he assisted off the corner kick. Him and Rafael Leao. I don't know if Leao even
because there was talk he's going to play the 10.
He's in the middle. He's the 10.
You didn't see.
No, he was the left winger this game. But during the season, he'll be up the middle.
How do you know? Why would they not play him there in the preseason if that's his position?
Because I predicted the Vinny Jr. goal. Remember? I predicted the World Cup final. I'm like Stefan Adamus here. I'm like a soccer savant. I'm a soccer savant, right? And I can predict the future.
All right. Okay. Well, we'll just have to wait then.
No, the reality is I don't know. But Rafael Leao is that left winger. And AC Milan and the Italian clubs are doing something very smart because they're not as rich as the Prem clubs. They're spending money to buy bargain barrel players who are very educated and accomplished. Christian Pulisic fit that mold. They're like, he's not. Chelsea's trying to get rid of him, fire selling him. He's a Dortmund trained.
Fire selling? How much did they paid some money for him?
$20 million. No, they bought him for $75 million and they sold him for $20 million. So I guess that it's a depreciation. It's a 4-season depreciation.
Well, he hasn't played very much. I mean,
but AC Milan, a $20 million player for AC Milan is their big get, right? Meanwhile, other clubs are spending.
But that's the point I'm making. You're saying this is like a no-brainer bargain basement. I don't think we know that 20 million is a good deal for Christian Pulisic at this point in his life.
I think it is.
Okay.
But we'll see. Lazio spent that money on an Argentinian dude. We'll see who was the better signing.
15 million for Totti or 20 million for Pulisic? I don't know. I'm buying Totti.
Well, anyway, what I'm saying is I think Leao is going to be on the left and Pulisic's supposed to be in that 10. He has to earn it. He has to play hard. Christian Pulisic, it's a tough. I want to see him earn it. He's going to have to earn it. But I think that is going to be his position coming down the middle, which will be good because he can then play that for the U.S. men's national team as well. All right, Seba, subscribe to Shits and Boys. Thanks, bud. Thank you for subscribing to us. We're here every Monday night. We talk New York soccer from both sides of the river.
That's it. We've done it.
The only other thing is the German women beat Morocco 6-0.
Oh yeah, 6-0. Taking care of business.
Taking care of business.
Pop.
As the German men are depressing, the German women are here to play.
I hope so. I hope so. I was kind of lumped them together in my mind because the last time out at the Euros, there was sort of a similar malaise in the women's team that the men's were. So I don't know. I haven't going into. I mean, I can't say that I watch this team regularly or know what I'm talking about, but I wasn't super optimistic. But now this was definitely a pretty convincing win. So exciting.
I'm loving the Women's World Cup. It is pretty one-sided early on because the disparity is pretty extreme. But in the later rounds, Germany, USA, I'm up for it.
Wednesday, the US playing Netherlands. That's going to be a test.
Oh yeah, the Netherlands, England, Canada, those teams that are going to float up to the top. I'm excited, but I'm rooting for Germany.
I meant the US.
No, you said US. US.
I said US. Okay.
What about a Germany-Netherlands final? Would that be fun?
Right.
Anyway, that's been this week.
A long way to go.
We had a big week this week. I have another big week.
Yeah.
David Riccio, Bjorn, are you a professional soccer fan? Hey, me, I'm also professional. We're going to Saved by the Games here, okay? I'm going to the San Diego Loyal. I'm driving 5 hours.
Professional implies that somebody's paying me, right? So unequivocally no.
We are soccer fans. You are soccer fans. We love the sport. And in America, we root for soccer the way no one else does. We root for international clubs, the women's team, domestic clubs. We're all here at the same party, even if we're in different rooms. Tom, good to see you again. Tom, Seba, Riccio. Cheers, everybody.
Macht's gut.
Macht's gut.
Bye-bye.